Norma McCorvey, the real Jane, on Roe versus Wade, the court's decision that legalized abortion. We're going to have that on our program, including a 16-year-old teenage girl's stunning response to Teen Vogue article entitled "What to Get a Friend Post-Abortion," and debunking the Planned Parenthood myth that they only do 3% of their services are for abortion. I know. Check it out. Be sure to subscribe and press alert to get new notifications of new success secrets made available on VFN TV. Did you know today, well, not today, but just recently, Norma McCorvey passed away? You might not know her unless you know about the case in 1973 at the Supreme Court, Roe versus Wade. The people who were pro-abortion at that time were looking for a case, a person who wanted to be able to abort their child to take to the Supreme Court, and they found one. Her name was Norma McCorvey. She never had an abortion, but guess what? They used her all the way to the Supreme Court and changed the laws to where 50 million children since then plus have been aborted because of that law that was made on the Supreme Court. As a matter of fact, let's go back and look at Norma McCorvey, what the Washington Post has to say about her. Let's take a look.
Norma McCorvey was better known as Jane Roe, the pseudonymous plaintiff in the monumental Supreme Court case Roe v. Wade. But she never found an easy fit as a poster girl, either for the abortion rights movement or for the anti-abortion movement, which she embraced in her later years. When she challenged Texas abortion laws in 1970, she was 22, trapped in a life of poverty and addiction, and facing her third pregnancy. When the Supreme Court ruling came down in her favor in 1973,
the Supreme Court today ruled that abortion is completely a private matter.
She had already given birth and placed her child for adoption.
I never had the right to choose.
By her own description, McCorvey was a simple woman with a 9th grade education who just wanted a safe and legal abortion. What she got was a ruling that changed the course of reproductive rights in America. After fully shedding her anonymity, she used her connection to the abortion rights fight to further that cause, working with clinics and advocates. But she grew to feel isolated and abandoned by the movement, which never moved her to its forefront.
I've been shunned by quite a few of the national leaders in the pro-choice movement. I really get this really strong hit that people think that I'm just like totally stupid, and I'm not. I mean, I've got brains and I have ideas, and I just don't really feel like they hear me. So, I mean, I wasn't their chosen one to be their special Jane Roe.
In 1995, she moved to the other side of the abortion debate, declaring herself a born-again Christian, and found herself again in the headlines.
We forgive you in Jesus' name. Yes. Amen.
She spent recent years speaking out against abortion and attending pro-life rallies.
How many of us want to see Roe versus Wade overturned?
Anti-abortion rights activists regarded her reversal as a victory for their cause.
Washington Post is reporting that Norma never fully engaged in the pro-life. There couldn't be any further than the truth. She gave her life to Jesus Christ. She stood up. She never had an abortion. She was used in her poverty and her a place of addiction by those who wanted to promote their agenda to be able to end the life of children. But here's Norma McCorvey in her own words talking about her testimony. Let's go there now.
Most of you won't recognize me or my real name. It's Norma McCorvey. I'm also known as Jane Roe, the plaintiff in the Supreme Court case, Roe versus Wade, which legalized abortion in America and changed our nation in an unprecedented way. Back in 1973, I was a very confused 21-year-old with one child and facing an unplanned pregnancy. At the time, I fought to obtain a legal abortion, but the truth be told, I have 3 daughters and have never had an abortion. However, upon knowing God, I realized that my case, which legalized abortion on demand, was the biggest mistake of my life. You see, abortion has eliminated 50 million innocent babies in the U.S. alone since 1973. Abortion scars an untold number of post-abortive mothers, fathers, and families too. You read about me in history books, but now I'm dedicated to spreading the truth about preserving the dignity of all human life, from natural conception to natural death.
This is amazing. So she definitely engaged in the pro-life from conception to death. She was totally for that. She's for Jesus Christ. She gave her life to the Lord. And so even though the Washington Post reported, somewhat accurately, the true solid testimony of Norma is she was a Christian and loved the Lord, and we know where she is right now. Think about this. You're looking, I don't know if you saw the March for Life. We had a program where we showed the March for Life. There was over 300,000 in 2010 people that showed up in Washington, D.C. To be able to say, we stand for life and we're pro-life. And the interesting thing about that was there were young folks. Now, they reported it, as we talked about, the biased media reported it as, that they were old folks and, Christian conservatives, and they all had gray hair. But the truth is, there were young people. We had students from Liberty University and from all around the nation that were there that we interviewed and we showed. But listen, this is a young teenager. Her name is Autumn. And she read in Teen Vogue magazine. Now, there's a magazine called Vogue, I guess for adults or whatever, but Teen Vogue, it's focused for teenagers. And she was shocked what she read. And so here is their worst nightmare, Planned Parenthood and people that are for pro-abortion. This is their worst nightmare. What? Young people, young girls standing up for life. Let's join Autumn right now.
Hello, my name is Autumn, and I'm 16 and would like to talk to you about an article recently posted by Teen Vogue called What to Get a Friend Post-Abortion. And since I'm a teen, this was directed towards me and I would like to respond. The point of the article was to make the situation seem as lighthearted and nonchalant as possible in order to convince girls my age that abortion is no big deal. Well, we need to clarify one thing first. Abortion is a big deal, a very big deal. And to say it is not is simply feeding us a lie. Right off the bat, Teen Vogue said, quote, "Look, making this decision is never simple, and having to make it as a teenager is more than a little terrifying. But it shouldn't have to be so scary," unquote. Okay, which is it? Is it more than a little terrifying, or is it not so scary? You can't have it both ways. It's one or the other. So the article said it doesn't have to be so scary, but I think we can all agree abortion is scary. No one skips into that room as if they're getting their hair highlighted or their nails painted. And just for the record, the thought of going into a room and having my baby surgically removed from my body is both terrifying and scary. And none of these gifts would make me feel better. And if they did make me feel better, that would mean I need serious counseling. Teen Vogue, you should be held accountable for this disgusting and disrespectful article. You trivialized an issue that leaves millions of women struggling every day. Such a blasé approach hurts women who regret their abortions. It minimizes their pain. So let's go through a couple of the ideas for post-abortive girls provided by Teen Vogue. Gift number 1, a funny movie. Let's look at what this is saying. We understand that you've had a rough day, so here's a funny movie to get your mind off of it. You know when this would be appropriate? After your friend got their wisdom teeth taken out, not after they've had an abortion. How offensive to think a comedy would be a good antidote for the pain your friend might be feeling. Number 2, underwear that you can rock after your abortion. Now this one is pretty unbelievable, so I'm going to read a part of the article for you. Quote, "If you haven't already heard about Think's underwear, then I'm about to rock yo world. These revolutionary panties allow you to free bleed like our foremothers wished they could. Technically, they are made for your period, but that's no reason not to rock them for your post-abortion woes, especially because there will be blood," unquote. Do I even need to explain why this is so deplorable? The language and flippant tone is appalling. Who would even consider rocking underwear after experiencing an abortion? Yes, there will be blood, because that's what happens after a pregnancy ends, and it's traumatizing. And cool underwear won't fix it or make it all better. Number 3, angry uterus heating pad. This is a heating pad shaped as a uterus with an angry, mad face on it. Teen Vogue said, quote, likely worse than any period symptoms you've ever experienced. You'll love it. It's like 2 throbbing hot balls of lead are trying to escape your body, all while your stomach contracts over and over again. Huzzah, unquote. Remember in the beginning of the article when they said abortion doesn't have to be so scary? Well, this sounds pretty scary to me. A creepy little gag gift is not going to counteract the feelings of hot lead balls escaping your body. Number 4, girl power hat. Is this really the time for that? I just ended my baby's life. Girl power. Are they insinuating that girls who celebrate their abortions understand girl power more than girls who regret them or refuse to have them? And by the way, how many aborted babies have been girls? What about their rights? When do girls begin to have power? And how powerful do you have to be to destroy the most helpless of people? To me, abortion seems like the opposite of girl power. It is the most invasive and degrading thing that could happen to a girl. And my version of girl power is knowing that I am valuable and precious. I am grateful I was allowed to live, and I want all girls and boys to have that same right. This is a human rights issue, not a girl power movement. Number 5, F uterus pin. Yep, you heard that right. An F uterus pin. I see a hidden motive here. They mentioned that this would be an armor in which to defend yourself against insensitive jerks asking about why you've had an abortion. 1, how would they even know you've had an abortion? I guess unless you're wearing an F uterus pin. And 2, some of the proceeds go to Planned Parenthood. So I think the motive here is to support Planned Parenthood rather than being there for your friend. 6, become an abortion clinic escort. In no way are children qualified to escort someone into a clinic to have an abortion. Teen Vogue, are you really encouraging teens to go be abortion escorts? Do you really think we, minors, have the tools to deal with that kind of pressure on an ongoing basis? Number 7, a needlepoint that reads, "We won't go back." I'm only 16 and know that guilt follows women for years after abortions. And I also know a cross-stitch isn't going to change that. But this article said, quote, "There is nothing to be ashamed of or feel guilty about." If girls are being told this, no wonder our culture has become so desensitized to the idea of taking the life of a baby. It's only after it happens and the guilt plagues them and the depression drags them down that they look at the cross-stitch on the wall that their friend gave them and think, I actually wish I could go back. But sadly, by then it's too late, and the "we won't go back" turns into "we can't go back," which unfortunately is something women only realize after they've had an abortion. This article made light of a heart-wrenching issue. Trivializing abortion doesn't do anyone any good. Joking about it is incredibly offensive to all involved. Do you know what I want to tell girls who've had abortions? I want them to know that there are organizations out there that will help them where they're at. There are places that will provide counseling, such as Rachel's Vineyard, a safe place to renew, rebuild, and redeem hearts broken by abortion. The national hotline for abortion recovery is 866-482-LIFE. And for local pregnancy resource centers in your area, visit healingafter.com and enter your zip code. And for those of you in high school and college, you can join me and get involved in Students for Life. This is a wonderful way for us young people to be involved in the pro-life movement. If you know someone who has had an abortion, don't buy them a gag gift and disguise it as a celebration. Treat it for what it is, a terrible loss. Go sit with her in her grief, pray for her, remind her of God's redemption, and comfort her in her suffering. Offer your friendship and promise to help her find healing. No matter what stance you have on abortion, it should never be treated with such nonchalance as this piece did. And if you are considering an abortion, remember, circumstances change. You won't always feel this afraid, and there are so many options and resources for you, such as adoption. My sister is adopted, and I cannot imagine my life without her. Her life is a gift to us. You have the power to choose life, and where there is life, there is always hope.
That is so powerful, Autumn. You did an excellent job. I want to encourage you to stand up with these young folks who are saying, listen, you know, we're not for taking the life of a child. We are for ending abortion. That Autumn did an excellent job of explaining in detail what's going on.
And it's so beautiful too, because this generation is recognizing that they have a voice, and they're not going to respond to people saying, oh, you're too young. It's just like, no, they can respond just as much to say that all life is valuable.
Murder's murder, you know.
That's right.
These kids are like, I don't want to kill my child. And she went detail for detail from the Vogue magazine, Teen Vogue, and it's just a tragedy. But think about this. They tell you that 3% of their Planned Parenthood, 3% of Planned Parenthood's expenses go to just abortions.
Right.
Not true. As a matter of fact, we're going to debunk it right now with this video. Take a look.
America's largest abortion chain, Planned Parenthood, claims over and over and over again that abortion is only 3% of the services that they offer.
That's your self-reported abortion statistic. 3% of all the procedures we provide.
It's in their annual report. It's on their website. And their supporters say it all the time.
And abortions only comprise 3% of Planned Parenthood's health services.
Abortion services only account for about 3%.
Because only 3% of what Planned Parenthood does is abortions.
3% of patients visit Planned Parenthood for a safe and legal abortion.
Here's why that statistic is completely bogus, and why the senior editor of the online magazine Slate said that the 3% stat was the, quote, most meaningless abortion statistic ever, and why the Washington Post fact checker gave Planned Parenthood's 3% statistic 3 Pinocchios, marking it as, quote, very misleading. Let's look at the numbers. According to their own annual report, Planned Parenthood commits over 300,000 abortions per year. Last year alone, they did 323,999 abortions, which averages to 887 abortions per day, 37 abortions per hour, 1 abortion every 97 seconds. Again, Planned Parenthood commits 1 abortion every 97 seconds. But how much of what Planned Parenthood does is abortion? Well, let's divide the number of abortions they do in a year by the number of patients they see in a year. 323,999 abortions for 2.5 million patients means that 1 in 8 patients who walk into Planned Parenthood will undergo an abortion. Not 1 in 33, Elizabeth Warren, 1 in 8. It's easy to see where Planned Parenthood's priorities are. They commit 160 abortions for every 1 adoption referral. Though Planned Parenthood constantly talks about their breast exams and Pap tests, they only do less than 1% of the nation's Pap tests and 1.8% of the nation's breast exams, while they do 30.6%, a third of the nation's abortions. But that's a public relations problem. So Planned Parenthood came up with a creative way to make their big business, abortion, look very small. To get the 3% figure, Planned Parenthood divides abortions by the number of so-called services, which they define as a discrete clinical interaction. And they count all these services equally, regardless of the cost, time, or effort it takes to render that service. So an entire abortion procedure, which can cost from $390 to $1,500, is counted the same as a pregnancy test, which a girl could get at a pharmacy for $10. In this way, Planned Parenthood is able to count 9.4 million services. Divide 323,999 abortions by 9.4 million services, and they get 3%. It's easy to see why this math is completely ridiculous. Say a woman goes to Planned Parenthood to get an abortion. She gets her pregnancy test, the abortion procedure, an STI test, and some contraceptives. In one visit, she gets 4 services, one of which is the actual abortion. So Planned Parenthood would say that abortion was only 25% of what they did for that woman, who came into the clinic only for an abortion. Well, by this math, even if 100% of Planned Parenthood patients got an abortion, they would still say abortion is only 25% of their services. Such distorted calculations could be used to obscure the purpose of any business. It would be like the NFL saying that because they sold 5 million hot dogs in a season and there were only 256 games, football is only 0.005% of what they do. Or it'd be like a steakhouse saying, actually, steak is only a very small percentage of what we serve because we also serve salad, mashed potatoes, french fries, beer, wine, soda, water, butter, salt, pepper, ketchup, toothpicks, and breath mints. We'd say, yeah, right, you're a steakhouse. Just like Planned Parenthood is an abortion corporation.
I mean, it's amazing how, I think about Saul Alinsky, the rules for radicals, and they say, if you just repeat a lie long enough. And I heard Hillary Clinton saying that. We just saw the people on that particular video debunking this 3% thing for Planned Parenthood. And I remember Senator Warren saying that, and saying we're not going to go back. I had no idea, according to Autumn, that was a cross-stitch type thing that they were giving to people.
And multiple voices in the media saying the exact same thing.
We just devalue life. It's like all of a sudden we found success in not family and not reproduction and not having more of us. And it's just crazy. But think about this. Look at these Planned Parenthood stats right here. According to these stats, Planned Parenthood aborts 323,999 a year children. They kill that many children in the womb. And it's government funded, and they're working on, we'll have that on the program today, defunding Planned Parenthood. We should not, as a taxpayer, you should not be paying for that. And realize this, that of all the false gods that God hated the most, it was Moloch, because it was the sacrifice of children. And people were sacrificing children for their own convenience is what's taking place. And so at that 323,999 a year, that comes out to 887 abortions just by Planned Parenthood in America every day. And then that also means, if you take that number, that's 37 abortions an hour.
That's right.
During one of our programs, during a full program, that's 37 children, their life will be ended by Planned Parenthood. And not only that, I said earlier like 40, but it's actually 1 in every 97 seconds. So a minute and a half, basically, another child's life's taken. I mean, God is the creator of life. We're taking what God, think about that Cain's blood cries out today and what we're doing today for these children. It's like, this has to be, if we want a great awakening and revival in America, we're not going to have it while we're shedding innocent blood. But we got some great new leaders who are focused on, we're going to end abortion, we're going to defund Planned Parenthood, and we're very excited about that. Be sure to subscribe and press alert to get new notifications of new success secrets made available on VFN TV. A lot of people want to abide with the Lord, but they just don't have a plan to do it. You can request that plan today at iabide.org. I'm your host, Greg Lancaster, and we're so glad that you've joined us. Don't forget you can join us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download our app and sign up for our newsletter, The Torch, at vfnkb.com. I've enjoyed our time together. God bless.